Would you like to just give a little background on yourself and kind of your journey leading up to the point where you are now?
That's a long story. I've been here 32 years in Sedona. I'm a spiritual guide. I bridge many traditions, native wisdom, yoga traditions. I bring it all together in an essential way. So I had my awakening a long time ago. So I was having a spiritual awakening in my early 20s. And while I was living in Hawaii, I had an encounter with a UFO. And that was my first realization that that was going on. And had contact and telepathic contact. And just trusting my life flow, I found myself here in summer solstice 1987. And harmonic convergence was a prophetic date based on Mayan Toltec calendars. And I was here at that time. It was a very exciting time to be here. So I've been here ever since. The day I arrived, I actually had a contact from the star people. They actually beamed a flame into my head while I was meditating and opened up my mind. And they told me telepathically, the females, I call them the goddesses, they told me that I was to be a spiritual guide here. Dropping out of school and dropping out of the world and going on my path like that, I didn't know how I was going to reintegrate back into the social reality of things. They said, you're to be a spiritual guide here, and there'll be thousands and thousands of people coming looking for answers. So I answer people's questions and speak of love and inspiration, because a great awakening is coming as a part of the ancient prophecies from around the world. And it talks about the higher mind reality, the higher domain consciousness. And that was 32 and a half years ago. The goal is not to graduate and get off. The goal is to be present here and embody your heaven. Body what you love, your purpose, and not letting negative forces defeat you. Depression and negative programmings, guilt, shame, blame, these things that are making people, they're holding people down and making them suffer. That's the adversary, the lower mind. And we're here to master that, so that we can, in that mastery, take it to the next levels up.
Would you like to go into a little detail about your first contact with a UFO?
I had some encounters as a teenager where I had some visitations by some female spirits would come to me. And that was a very beautiful experience, although I didn't understand it. And as blissful as it was, I had no understanding of why or what that was about. And when my teacher spoke to me in my mind and told me it was time for me to wake up and remember and learn, I began to study obsessively for about 6 months. And that I was so extreme in my studies, wanting to make contact with that higher knowing. And I'm very frustrated that I felt disconnected. After 3 nights of crying, asking for this awakening, I let it all go. All that frustration or obsession inside me was cried out. So I was empty and feeling at peace and feeling free. And I began to have spontaneous mystical experiences at that time. So I was seeing these kind of abilities or perceptions that, it's like bending time, space, reality, like that. And the mystics will say that the rational mind is the slayer of that which is real. And so we always have to be rational, but the rational mind is what keeps us from perceiving the magical mind. So that was one of my first big lessons about controlling the mind. So another lesson I was given was that to bridge the dream mind to the rational mind, you have to balance the hemispheres of your brain. Because we can have these mystical states, but can't always bring it back down. You can have great inspiration. You can have a very powerful dream, and then 2 minutes later it's gone. So that's bringing the dream mind down into the rational and balancing the brain hemispheres. We're at this time of transition. It's a time of a spiritual awakening. But for people to wake up, they've got to go to the power places of the earth to activate themselves. And the earth energy activates them and aligns them, and they in turn help to anchor the earth energies and balance the earth energy. So it's a kind of a mutual, it's not us coming to heal the earth, it's the earth really healing us. But we also cultivate the earth's energy and stabilize and put some sacred intent to link the heaven to the earth.
So what do you think the significance of Sedona is in relation to this transition we're going through?
Well, Sedona seems to be like the major place of transformation for the Western culture. Earth is it's a living sentient being. So you have 7 major chakras in your energy body. Earth has 7 continental chakras. So you have an acupuncture meridian grid system. The Earth has the spider woman's web of the geodesic grid. We have a north pole and a south pole. The north pole is the positive pole of the battery, and the south pole is the negative. But we also have an east pole and a west pole. The east pole is the plateau of Tibet. It is the world's largest plateau. It's the highest elevation. It has the 4 sacred mountains. The indigenous people have a very shamanic wisdom with the spirits of those mountains and holding the sacred space. On this side of the world, opposite the world, is the Colorado Plateau. We're right below the Colorado Plateau, which includes the Grand Canyon and the Four Corners. So the 2 plateaus are holding the balance of the world. So we have these major power points. East Pole Tibetan is the male aspect, and over here is the female aspect. So they're all around the plateau. You have like the Grand Canyon and many sacred sites. High desert, high electrical energy is very powerful. It's on the western pole. And in this desert environment, we have the highest area of lightning strike on the mainland North America. And not just Sedona, but the whole Southwest. And if you look at the topographical maps with the magnetic field, Sedona is lit up with the magnetism because of the red rocks are full of iron oxide, rusted red. So whenever you have red rocks exposed, they are antennas for Earth energy to come up. So as Earth is spinning on her axis, she generates life in her core. That energy is moving all through her body, all through the body, especially on the spider webs. Where the spider web crisscrosses the meridians, that's the vortex points. And there's hundreds of power points here. Every mountain holds power. So the energy goes up the mountains, goes up the land, into the sky, and down as a lightning bolt. So the lightning bolt is a kundalini energy of the Earth. So you have kundalini in your body. So the whole key is to harness that energy and come into a place of peace.
Vortexes and, I don't know how you would describe it, portals.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of confusion. What is your take on portals and vortexes and the importance of humans with all of that kind of stuff?
Well, we live in a vortex. It's a Milky Way galaxy, and there are billions of galaxies. They're all revolving around a black hole, which is the gateway into the mystery, into the unmanifest. So every star around the galaxy is also spinning, and its planets are spinning. The galaxy has 4 arms, and it spins like a swastika. This ancient symbol is the vortex. That's the vortex. The vortex is consciousness itself. So you come to places that have power, because the Earth is spinning through space as a vortex. The grid lines, the spiderweb grid lines, are the wrinkles in the time-space fabric, openings where the dimensional doors are a little more open. And so when you have a dream catcher, there's a spider woman's web on there. Put that over the Earth. That dream catcher is the power points, coming to catch your dreams. What is my vision? How do I connect with this higher mind intelligence? All over the world, people through ancient traditions made pilgrimages to power spots. At least once in their lifetime, they would go there and do their walkabout or their quest and unplug and connect with this higher mind, the planetary mind. The Earth is a living sentient being. The mountains, because you have this lightning energy come up out of the Earth, it's going to go up in the mountains, like pyramids. So the mountains are anchoring the energy. So you get up on the mountain, the power's at the top of the mountain, because everybody goes, where's the most powerful place? On the mountain. But you can walk into canyons where you're surrounded by the mountains, and then the mountains are it's still the mountains, and the canyons are holding it, because the canyons or wombs are feminine. All the high points are male. All the mountains, when you go on top of the mountain, what do? You expand your mind. You see the bigger picture. You can see what's coming from the distance. You can see the future coming. So when we rise up, the desert pinnacles, we're stripping away the human condition and communing with the sun. What's my purpose? What's my vision? How do I see? How do I master my reality? That's our male side. The desert is very masculine. So there's power in the land. My favorite places is the high places, up on the ridges, or in the dry washes, or by the creek. The high and the low, caves also, etc. So we have the spider web. There may be a power point over there, and a power point over there, and one over there. There are ley lines that connect, and where they crisscross, that is a wrinkle in the time-space fabric. We have to learn to master our minds. If you have fear, you're going to manifest your fear. If you have positive intent, prayerful understanding, I think people can manifest miracles. Now, people are based on fear. Like a lot of religious people at the end of the world are based on fear. They've got a lot of guns, and they're all stocked up, and they're ready for a civil war. And I mean, they're really spinning out with the end of the world. The Lord Jesus said, at the end of the age, have no fear, because you're going to be liberated. But when you have religious belief systems that are fear-based, us against the evil, The Lord Jesus said that resist not evil. Don't fight with it because then it gets inside you. Don't let it in, but don't let that be your mirror reflection that you're fighting evil. Because you fight that, that's what you create in your life. So master the light, that whatever has a negative behind that great spirit is behind all phenomenon. The negative force in the world is there to make us turn to the light, to turn to that power, to turn to our connection. We come down here for this duality to master our awareness. It's a great opportunity. It's a great adventure. Some people are traumatized because they don't understand. When you start to understand how the game is being played, and you realize that this world, this dimension is only temporary. We don't belong here. We coming from the higher dimension, doing our time. We are both got good and evil in us. If we say, okay, let us transform our shadow and bring in that light, if we do that, then no matter what happens, we have that light. But you have to claim it because everything that's out there is inside here. So if you say, okay, let me judge you because you're so bad, but oh, I'm judging you now, that awakens this inside me.
You were speaking about Jesus for a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts on kind of the theory that there's been a lot of teachings by him that have been suppressed and taken away and distorted.
Well, first of all, I love Jesus. I just don't like Christianity. Some Christian people really practice the teachings of Jesus, but there's a lot of hypocrisy in religion, because the more you get on your path and try to do the right thing, and you see people who are not, the more you judge them. They're misusing the teachings of Jesus. His teachings, although they're right there, is all about love and forgiveness.
Yeah.
And it's hard for people to love and forgive. There was one of the books, I think it was Thomas, Missing Gospel of Thomas. In that supposed message of Jesus, he said that it's easy for you to love and forgive those who you love, or forgive those that love you, but can you love and forgive those who hate you and want to do you harm? And most we go like, no, we're going to give it back. I don't believe Old Testament God was the Father in heaven Jesus is talking about. I think he's talking about the source of creation itself, as was the Buddha, who transcended the gods. The Old Testament God was saying an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. So if somebody does you wrong, you're required to do it back. So that's where you have to practice the Ho'oponopono. This concept is a universal tradition between all shamanic people, taking total responsibility in love and forgiveness. So all the true mystical traditions are practicing Ho'oponopono. They see themselves as part of the unified whole and taking responsibility for that. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. You can heal your family lines like that. You can heal your relationships like that.
As you obviously know, the Great Awakening is happening. It's been happening. And there's different theories about how that all will play out. But one specific theory that I'm kind of like iffy on, I don't know, is the solar flare, like the event. Do you think there's going to be a certain event that's going to kind of wake people up?
There's been talk about this for about 20 years, about the sun flaring. So if that were to send its light, if something were to flare like that and send its light, that may be kind of a part of the frequency raising up as it comes into our solar system. There have been the Hopis have prophesied about the red star Kachina and the blue star Kachina. And whether the red star is Betelgeuse or whether it's Nibiru, or it's hard to know exactly what it could be because cover up about lots of information like that. Somehow we have periodic cataclysms on the earth anyway. It's a part of a cycle of souls incarnating. At the end of the cycle, they get to get off and graduate. If they don't graduate, they have to come back around another cycle again. So we're coming to another graduation point, and many souls are ready to graduate. So if we're afraid to die because we're afraid of the unknown, what comes next, it's really we're afraid because we're not living our life here with our heaven now. When you're in the 3D, you can grow so much more than you can when you get into the higher dimensions. Many people have volunteered to come in at this time to help to raise the vibration of love, and that when this is over, people can go back to where they came from. And some will go back to the source of pure love, and others will go back to star systems, planets. And the star people tell me that this earth is going to go through cataclysm and be reset. So that's coming. So I don't cling to this earth. I don't worry about this earth. This earth is going to take care of itself. I just want to see people stop poisoning themselves and poisoning the environment, because we have to live in harmony with the environment. And as long as we have it, we have to take care of it. So if we can just live more consciously with the Mother Earth, and this is what I love about the Native American wisdom, is that the Mother Earth is a living sentient being, and we're a part of the circle of life. We're here to help maintain the balance, keep it in a good way. And if we just do our best that way, and know that we're all connected.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for your time and for your wisdom. I deeply appreciate it. Hopefully we can get together again. Yes, thank you.
Well, if you live in town, we'll be friends.
Right? Right, that'd be amazing.
Come to my salt lunch.
Right.